Hey, what's going on, guys? Kaoiji here. So over the weekend, we're going to be seeing a ton of New Genesis footage. Luckily enough, Aida was able to share some of their footage with me and a ton of other content creators, so you'll be able to see some, if not all, of what New Genesis has to offer throughout the weekend. Now, really quick, for those of you guys who don't know Enna is actually the person who's in charge of not only the Phantasy Star Fleet Discord, but they are also the head person involved in the Tweaker project when it comes to Phantasy Star Online 2. So again, huge shout out for them sharing their footage. Now, if this is your first time seeing Phantasy Star Online 2 New Genesis, keep in mind that this is basically a brand new game. While there are a ton of things that will transfer over from Phantasy Star Online 2 over to New Genesis, it is basically a brand new experience with a brand new movement set, and there are a lot of things that are akin to games that you guys are already familiar with. One of my favorite things when it comes to Phantasy Star Online 2 New Genesis is how fluid everything seems to look. It also seems to include the character screen, which I didn't know you can make a character screen that looked better than Phantasy Star. Another cool thing is that we're going to be able to change the options once we get into the game, rather than having to either do it from the launcher itself or wait till we get in the game. And then much like in Phantasy Star Online 2, when you're selecting your character, you're not only able to select your character, you're able to select where you want to launch to first. So for example, if you wanted to go ahead and launch into Phantasy Star Online 2, maybe you needed to collect star gems or do a daily or something. Before heading into New Genesis, you can start there. Or if you wanted to go straight into the action and then launch Phantasy Star New Genesis with that character, you can do that with any of them. I don't know if it's just me, but the moment we loaded into the city, I was like, holy shit, even the loading screens look good. And there's not very many of them in New Genesis. Now, there were a lot of people in my videos who commented saying that they wanted to see more in the cocoon section. And pretty much one of the first cocoons that you'll be able to have access to is actually a tutorial of sorts. Now, cocoons you'll be able to match with other players. You'll be able to do matchmaking, as well as some of the things that you're already familiar with when it comes to partying up in Phantasy Star Online 2. But much like this one, it seems like there's going to be cocoons that are tied to tutorials. Now, those tutorials could be tied to several different things. They could be tied to combat. They can also be tied to showing you how the different ways of traversing the land operate. I'm gonna break character real quick just because this is the only way I know how to talk about this one. But in Phantasy Star New Genesis, you can't actually skip cocoons at all. I remember seeing a comment, I don't know where I saw it, but I remember seeing it somewhere saying that they were just going to skip cocoons because they didn't feel that this was going to be something that's necessary in New Genesis unless there's events tied to it. Unfortunately, you're not going to be able to skip cocoons at all. Some of them are going to be tied to stories. A lot of them also, if not all, are going to be tied to how you obtain your skill points. Now, this could just be something that's tied to certain cocoons in the beta, but cocoons will award you anywhere between 1 to 2 skill points across all of your classes. This is something that opens up the door to a lot of different things. One of the big things that I'm seeing here is it's going to be easier for new players to try to figure out where they can find certain bosses. I remember being a new player and seeing I don't know where these bosses are. Someone help me. But now all I need to do is cocoons and I'll be able to unlock all of these skill points for every single class. So I don't need to do the same mission over and over per class. This is also really cool because now I get to go ahead and start the game. If I wanted to go and say, hey, I'm going to play Gunner today, and then I wanted to move on and level up another class, I already have their skill tree unlocked. This way of implementing the cocoon system is honestly one of my favorite. Now, as we get more footage, one thing that I'm going to be working on is actually how the different classes have changed from Phantasy Star Online to Phantasy Star Online 2. Just a side-by-side comparison to the weapon types. Currently in the closed beta test, they only have access to 1 weapon per class, with 6 classes being available in the closed beta test, which are Hunter, Ranger, Force, Techer, Gunner, and the Fighter. Now, as you can see on screen, all of these skill trees are currently simplified, making it so that way they're tied to the class and to the weapon that's currently being used. Now, thanks to Ricardo over at bump.org, we have a full translation of what each of these skills do. Now, the first ability on the Hunter skill tree is Massive Hunter, which is an active ability which reduces damage you receive for a limited time and prevents the ability of getting knocked back. Luckily enough, Massive Hunter hasn't changed from PSO2, so you'll still find the same application that you did before. Now, the next one that you have is Photon Art's Avenge, which is when you get hit within a certain time frame of activating a Hunter PA, the power of that PA will then increase. You also have Warcry, which is basically the same thing that we had in PSO, which is attracts the attention of surrounding enemies. You also have what's called Sword Extra Attack, which adds a 5th attack to the normal sword combo. And then you have Iron Will, which is a main class ability this time, which is the same way that it was before, which is receiving a fatal amount of damage will leave you with 1 HP, and you'll become invincible for a limited time once it's activated. Then you have Just Guard Counter Plus, which is when performing a Just Guard, when doing a normal attack immediately after, you'll then activate a counter move. And then moving right along to Ranger, we seem to have a lot of things here that just got carried over from PSO2. With the first ability being on their skill tree, a main class skill, which is Weak Bullet. A weak bullet pretty much acts the same way, as that you can only use it when you have an assault rifle, and then it allows you to fire a bullet that increases the damage to the part that got hit. Then moving right along, we have weak bullet reinforce, which does when hitting a weak bulleted area a certain number of times, it will extend the duration of weak bullet and increase the damage that's dealt. And this is also a main class skill. And then if you ever wanted to turn your rifles into a shotgun, you know, like spread needle style, you have another active ability that's called spread shot, which fires a special short range shot by consuming the gauge accumulated from the assault rifle's attacks. You also have spread shot escape, which is an extension of spread shot, which then adds invincibility for a limited time when spread shot is activated, and then the evacuation distance is extended when inputting a direction. Then you have rifle grenadier, which adds a grenade attack when holding the weapon action button for assault rifles. If you input a direction at the same time as holding the weapon action, the attack will be thrown. Then you have rifle slide shot advance, which adds invincibility for a limited time when using the weapon action while rifles are equipped. And then, man, I'm just excited about all this. Like, it seems like rifles, or especially rangers in this case, have a ton of iframes. But anyway, I'm moving right along. Next up, we have Force, which Force has a ton of abilities that are just really good as well. They also have one ability called Rest of Field Force that they're going to be sharing with Tekker. But before I skip over to the rest of field, let's start off from the beginning. The first skill in the skill tree is Photon Flare, which increases your max PP and the power of force weapons for a limited time, and this is a main class only ability. They have Charge PP Recovery, which PP will recover naturally even while charging a technique with a force weapon. They have PP Convert, which is an active ability, which for a limited time it increases your max HP while increasing the speed of natural PP recovery, which then has an upgraded version, which is called PP Convert Increase, which increases the number of times PP Convert can be used. And then Rest of Field Force recovers nearby players whenever you use a rest assign. And this is a main class only skill as well. Last but not least, you have Rod Technic Keep, which is when using a rod, the charging status of the technique will be maintained if you perform a step or weapon actions when charging that technique. Therefore, the next time you use the same technique, the charging time will be reduced and PP will not be consumed. I'm not gonna lie to you, this is really awesome to me because basically this means that way you can stay incredibly mobile and not have to waste your PP and or techniques. I don't know, man, maybe Force Master Race is coming back. I mean, do you remember Phantasy Star Universe days where everybody just spammed Megid? At least some of you do. Now I'm finally moving over to Fighter. The first ability on the Fighter skill tree is Limit Break, which is an active skill, which increases the damage received and increases the power of fighter weapons for a limited time. Then you have Limit Break PP Recovery, which recovers PP after Limit Break ends. This is also a main class only ability. Then you have Limit Break Endurance, which is when receiving a fatal amount of damage during Limit Break will end and leave you with 1 HP, and then you'll become invincible for a limited time once it's active. I'm just saying, Fighter just got a whole lot better, period. And then you have Knuckle Attack Extra, which adds a 5th attack to the normal Knuckles combo. Knuckle Attack Switch, which after successfully evading with the Knuckles weapon action, the next normal attack will become the 5th combo. And then you have Knuckles Sway Counter Plus, which after successfully evading with a Knuckles weapon action, performing the weapon action again will activate the counter move. All right, my fighter mains, listen, I need you guys to just let me know how excited are you just on this alone, because I might go back to maining Fighter. Oh man, I don't need to cover the other classes, right? Fighter's it. Anyway, but seriously, going into the next class. The next class is Gunner. The first class in the skill tree is Chain Trigger, which activating a charged twin machine gun PA creates a chain count that increases with attacks. Hitting it again with a charged PA creates a powerful chain finisher. Now this is also main class only. Then you have Chain Trigger Quick Reload, which once a chain finisher occurs, it reduces the amount of time that you could perform a chain trigger again based on the chain count. You have Chain Boost, which changes the behavior of the twin machine gun weapon action for a limited time after a chain finisher occurs. In addition, it increases the attack speed of TMGs based on the chain count. Then you have Stylish Roll Arts, which when pressing the PA button during TMG weapon action will consume PP to generate a powerful attack. Another ability that then stems off of that is Stylish Roll Strike Back, which successfully invading with a TMG weapon action will cause the next TMG PA to increase in power while consuming more PP. And then you have Stylish Onslaught, which for twin machine guns, pressing the weapon action without inputting a direction will make you rush forward. I like Gunner too, man. I don't know. I'm just having a hard time figuring out which class I'm going to wind up maining in New Genesis. And then last but not least, you have the Tekker skill tree, which my Tekker mains rejoice because finally you're going to be in high demand. Everyone's going to want you. Shift the D-Band is an active skill that is exclusive now to Tekkers, which for a limited time increases the amount of damage towards enemies while reducing the damage for you and other characters. You have shifted D-band party share, which applies shifted D-band to party members even when they're far away. You have wand element change. When using a charge technique with a wand, the wand explosion element will change to that of the charge technique. Wand element revoke, which when holding the wand's weapon action resets the element of the wand explosion. Now you have Rest of Field Techer, which is slightly different from the Force one, but shares some of the same properties. The only difference being is that increases the healing amount while also then healing nearby players. And then you have Wand Parry Counter Plus, which upon successfully guarding with a wand weapon action, performing a normal attack will then activate a counter move. I'm not gonna lie to you, so far it just looks like classes just as a whole are just so much better this time around. This time, every class is also useful. So everyone will have a class that they'll be able to main and find enjoyment out of. I mean, I'm just having a hard time figuring out what I'm going to main now. I said it before and I'm going to say it again. So over the weekend, we're going to be getting some footage to be able to fully show you guys the differences between the classes and how each individual class then plays. And then we finally have the Urgent Quest or Emergency Quest system, which this time around, you'll be able to use any of the Ryuka devices or go to the location itself to be able to participate so long as you have the respective combat power. To be able to participate. This time it doesn't seem like it's level restricted, it's combat power restricted. So long as you have 950 combat power, you'll be able to then participate in any of the urgent quests that are available in the beta. Now I'm sure this is going to change when the game goes live, as there'll be different urgent quests that are going to be able to be found throughout the map depending on what combat power you currently are. Now before I miss my mark on talking about the Ryuka devices are basically these things that are tied to the story and or you have to find them on the map, which allows you to be able to enable fast travel. And then going back into urgent quest or emergency quest, there are a couple things that we need to talk about because these are things that I'm hoping that will change. There seems to be the ability that when you go to the Ryuka device to select whether or not you wanted to go to the urgent quest, you'll be able to then choose whether or not you wanted to actually go there with the little prompt that's appearing on your screen. Once you're at the urgent quest location, this is where my personal gripe then applies. When it comes to Phantasy Star New Genesis, it doesn't look like you'll be able to then put down a party marker, which allows people to be able to join your party like it does in Phantasy Star Online 2. This could just be something that's only available in the closed beta test part 1 because there is going to be another closed beta test in the future, but I'm really hoping that this is something that will change because I want to be able to put down a party marker and not just get random invites or have to invite a whole bunch of random people. I kind of like my one and done button press and then have people join the party from there. Now we don't know if there's any like try boost bonuses this time around when it comes to being in a party, but I can just assume that that's something that'll stay, but we'll see as we get more information throughout the weekend. Now there was 2 urgent quests that I was personally able to see throughout the beta test. We have this one that's currently being showed. Again, huge shout out to Aida. And then there was another one that was basically a multi-boss one, which kind of had like 2 small bosses that appeared, and then there was a larger one at the end. It seems like based on the urgent quest, we have different amount of player requirements. Like this one that's currently being showed has an 8-player requirement, while the other one that was shown definitely allowed for more players. What I personally saw, I think it was anywhere between 12 to 16. I'm not entirely sure. What's cool is that upon beating the boss, not only do the items just no longer appear on the ground, there's no more crystal to break, all of the items are then transferred directly into your inventory. So once you're done, you don't have to do any sort of like inventory management, and then you could just go ahead and bounce back to town. I'm also just going to say that everything here just looks incredibly smooth and fluid. Even the rare drop animation and then the urgent quest complete screen just look absolutely fantastic. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I'm incredibly hyped for New Genesis and seeing more footage. I just want to play it myself, man. Now, the last thing that I want to go over is actually the AC scratch. I can already hear, but what about a fixing? Well, I'm going to be going over a fixing, especially once we get just a little bit more footage when it comes to the topic. So far, when it comes to a fixing, it looks like everything's a lot easier. It's tied to the capsules that we saw in previous footage, as well as you can only use 10 capsules. But I want to go into a little bit more detail than just touching on it for about a minute and then moving on. Especially because, as a lot of you guys know, I personally am one of the few people who like have a love-hate relationship with the fixing, so I kind of want to, deep dive into it. But this time it looks like the ARKS cache, which is the new AC scratch, now has different items that are going to be tied to it. Some definitely a little bit more rare than others, and those that are rare have a special indication that show that they're rare items. And what's cool about this is it looks like that every item that you're getting out of the ARKS cache is just a ticket item. So what's really nice here is that it looks like fashion isn't going to take up inventory space anymore. It looks like that once you use it, you then unlock it for that character, whether it be outerwear or even base attire. From what we've been able to see in previous footage, we are able to then change a lot of the different color schemes that are on this. So even if something like this is now changing, where you get outerwear and then it is permanently bound to your character, the simple fact that I'll be able to change and customize the auxiliary colors on that piece of gear or outfit makes me a very happy human being. All right, so I had like this whole bit planned out where I was just gonna be like, yeah, am I gonna get a gold? Am I gonna get a gold? But I'm gonna leave that out of this video because I'm just trying to give you guys information. Now, there is a ton of information that's gonna be coming out this weekend. There's some things that we're gonna be going over, like fixing the food recipe system and some others. It also seems like the potentials when it comes to weapons are no longer tied to like getting a weapon to plus 10, 20, and 30. Seems like you can upgrade them separately. It's a 3-day beta and there is a ton of information. So I'm going to try to be as thorough as I can to be able to get you guys as much information as you guys might want for when the game is officially launched. All right, now my birds are going crazy, so I think I'm going to end the video out here. I can't contain my hype anymore, and then going through all this footage is just making me that much more hype. But anyway, guys, thank you guys again for watching. Stay awesome, stay beautiful, and I'll see you guys in the next video. New Genesis looks damn good, man. I'll see you guys next time. Peace. I'm out.